The Lucasfilm debacle. Why the media has turned its back on Indiana Jones and Star Wars.
This will be a day long remembered.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
Lucasfilm is a company of two major properties, Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Over the last few years, Star Wars has died an embarrassingly public death. The films, while initially successful, have become the face of entertainment mismanagement. Indiana Jones, Lucasfilm's other major property, which is about to see a big film release at the end of the month, is in a similarly precarious position. Fortune has published a piece that gives insight to the troubles ahead for Lucasfilm and Disney.
When was this video made? Am I like... Oh, it was made 3 days ago. Okay, 3 days ago. I did not know it was coming out with another movie. There's another movie. Holy shit.
Disney. But before we get into that, today's video is brought to you by us at shopwcbs.com. You know, it's summertime, it's getting hotter, but you have to wear something out in public, so why not wear something with style and class? World class, that is. So go to shopwcbs.com and get yourself an official WCBS t-shirt. There are dozens of choices designed by me, and all of our shirts are shipped and printed through
NES
so you get their
layout,
customer service, support, as well as the high quality each of their t-shirt carries. So go to shopwcbs.com right now to grab one of those, and since it's summer and it's so damn hot out, you might want something cool to drink. So why not drink that cool beverage out of an official WCBS pint glass? When you do, you'll become the fifth bullshitter. You can crack a cold one with us and spend your summer watching all the new world-class bullshitters content coming your way, including the return of good morning pop culture.
It actually looks
so,
good.
Folks, you can click on those links below, get yourself
in the style
an official
of like
WCBS
GTA
piece of glassware, wear the t-shirt, and hang out with us all summer long. And now, back to the video. Lucasfilm has just premiered the 5th installment of its Indiana Jones franchise, and a lot is riding on the fedora-sporting, bullwhip-toting archaeologist portrayed by the now 80-year-old Hollywood star Harrison Ford. At nearly $300 million...
Bro, I thought Harrison Ford hated the fact that everyone was always coming up to him and being like, oh, Han Solo, Han Solo. Yeah, I think he... What was it? Did he prefer people coming up to him and being like, Indy, or whatever? I don't know. I think he hated, like, the whole Han Solo thing. Or maybe not hated, but didn't like as much.
The Dial of Destiny is one of the most expensive films ever made, and its initial reviews suggest it could bomb big at the box office when it lands on June 30th. I bet you that's what they want to hear at Lucasfilm, right? When Bob Iger acquired Lucasfilm a decade ago, it paired the century-old animation company with the studio behind Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
$4 billion.
Yet the match made in heaven now risks becoming an albatross around Disney's neck.
Bro, when am I going to see George Lucas go on Shark Tank? You know? Him and Mark Cuban can be like the big sharks. You know, everybody wants to make a deal with Mark Cuban. Everyone wants to make a deal with, like, George Lucas, you know? That'd be freaking an awesome episode. I would watch that episode.
The third Skywalker trilogy started off with a bang in late 2015 with The Force Awakens, only to end with a whimper 4 years later, as fans deserted the franchise. The studio hasn't produced a theatrical release of any kind since, allowing Marvel Cinematic Universe, despite the recent setbacks, to supplant it as Disney's cash cow. The Force has left Lucasfilm, says Eric Schiffer, CEO of a private equity firm. The emotional connection it enjoyed with fans has been damaged. Yes, it has.
Yeah.
The LA-based media industry investor and self-admitted Star Wars fan still counts the deal as successful for Iger, but he believes it got lost producing too much subpar content for Disney.
Subpar? That was like way below par, dude.
To get the Force back, Lucasfilm needs to reconnect with its Joseph Campbell roots, the inner set of mythologies we're all hardwired to that motivated Lucas to create Star Wars in the first place, says Schiffer. He argues that constant hunger to feed the streaming business with fresh material helped sow the seeds of the current malaise. Even as The Mandalorian, the series that started it all for Disney, in Iger's words, helped the CEO...
No, don't blame the hunger of the constant content of the streaming services or whatever you want to do. It's not the fans' fault the movies and the shows are bad. It's the writer's fault, all right? It's your fault. All that shit is bad. Don't go off and say, oh, if we had more time, it would have been better. No, you had plenty of time.
Attract subscribers to catch up quickly with Netflix. It came at a cost of stretching the Star Wars brand beyond recognition.
Bro, I would bet ChatGPT or Google Bard would be able to make a better Star Wars script than like the Hollywood writers.
Now that growth has faltered, with 4 million customers canceling their memberships in 3 months, and Wall Street is pushing Iger to end the scattergun approach of showering creators with money for new content. Instead, investors want him to end the over $10 billion in cumulative streaming service losses since the launch of Disney Plus 3.5 years ago. The idea that less is more could apply to Lucasfilm's Indiana Jones films, which enjoyed their heyday in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Fans were largely satisfied when the titular character finished on a high note.
Yeah, there's only 3 Indiana Jones movies. The first one, the second one, and the third one, and that's it. All this other stuff coming out, that's not real.
Literally riding off into the sunset at the end of the third film. So when Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was released 15 years ago,
yeah, that's not a real one. That's like headcanon.
The spectacle of seeing an aged Harrison Ford emerge unscathed from a nuclear blast by hiding in a refrigerator left no one asking for more. But they will all get a sequel nonetheless when The Dial of Destiny swings into theaters a full 42 years after the first installment. Factoring in marketing and distribution costs, including the cinema's cut of receipts, it will likely have to pull in around $800 million at the box office just to break even.
Bro, 800 million? That ain't even as much as some of these AAA games with $900 million budgets, all right? 800 million, that's nothing, all right? Get out of here, all right? Don't come crying to me, because $800 million.
That is an incredible number that is unlikely to happen. Box Office Pro is predicting that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny will top Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania at the domestic box office, predicting the film will, on the low end, bring in $225 million domestically. On the high end, they predict the film could earn up to $380 million domestically. Interestingly, they don't expect the film to have long legs, as they predict it will make a significant portion of its entire gross in its opening weekend, anywhere between $81 and $111 million. However, the bad word of mouth and low critical score put that film in a position for the numbers to reach the lower end. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull had an opening weekend of $100 million in two.
I remember when this movie came out, I didn't see it. I don't even remember what day, what month, what year it came out. I just remember it came out and I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it like years later because I heard all the reviews were just bashing on it. So I was like, oh, okay, it's not worth my time. Whatever. I guess I'll just go back and watch the first 3, which are good.
2008, and went on to earn $317 million domestically. It had a worldwide gross of $786 million. That film was the return of Indiana Jones. He had been absent from cinemas since 1989. However, that film, The Last Crusade, is highly regarded, while Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is not. Also add to the fact that most films make about 50% of their box office domestically and the other 50% internationally. If you take the high-end number and you multiply that by 2, you still don't get the $800 million needed to break even for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Wait, so making the movie was a net loss?
Even with such a strong opening, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull hadn't reached a number that would require the Dial of Destiny to break even. Bob Iger didn't come out of retirement in November just to watch his prized possession wither on the vine. The board expects him to right the ship, breathe life back into the dormant stock, and resume paying cash dividends to the shareholders. The value of intellectual property cannot be measured simply in a franchise's box office receipts, said Guy Bisson, co-founder of a media industry analyst firm Ampere. You need to take into account its contributions in streaming and merchandising and in the characters and rides at theme parks. This is where Lucasfilm has made their biggest mistake. Yes, there's tons of merchandise based on their version of Star Wars, but it's based on characters people do not like.
Bro, where's the official Indiana Jones like leather brown fedora, or the official Indiana Jones like whip jacket, you know? I don't think I've seen that stuff.
It cannot be overstated how much
is that even
matters.
A thing?
The reason Star Wars was able to sell toys since the 1970s, with a break from 1985 to 1995, is because of the characters and the connection the audience felt with each of them. Luke Skywalker is a character millions of people love, but why? Because he fits the hero's journey.
Yeah.
And the hero's journey appeals to our psyche. The journey of the hero is about the courage to seek the depths, the image of creative rebirth, the eternal cycle of change within us, the uncanny discovery that the seeker is the mystery which the seeker seeks to know. The hero's journey is a symbol that binds, in the original sense of the word, two distant ideas.
The hero's journey is like a basic concept layout of the progression of a character, you know? Now, notice how I didn't say male or female. Females can go through this too. It just so happens that, in history, it's mostly men that have done it. But I would guarantee you, if you had a really good female hero's journey, it would be good. All right? I think I would watch that. I'd be willing to. I'd be willing to give it a shot. But it just so happens is not really in my immediate like thinking. I'd have to think like hard.
The spiritual quest of the ancients with the modern search for identity. Always the one shape-shifting, yet marvelously constant story that we find. Our entire existence finds meaning in a hero's journey, significance in his victory. The monomyth, perhaps, resonates with the innermost fibers of our being, hence its prevalence. To simplify it, it feels good when Luke Skywalker fulfills his destiny to become a Jedi. When Luke completes his journey, we feel as if we have completed ours.
Yeah.
It inspires us to face fear, adversity, and the unknown to achieve our innermost desires. When Luke wins, we win.
Right.
The hero's journey, or monomyth, has been employed in storytelling for several thousands of years, probably from the very beginning of human literacy. People expect adversity when it comes to their heroes, but I also expect them to overcome it in the end. This story format can be adapted to every genre or situation that exists.
Yeah.
We always root for the hero because we want to believe that good, or justice, or true love, effort, honesty, or sometimes even just pluckiness can come out on top and defeat evil. Lucasfilm created heroes that face no adversity. They're not relatable or aspirational. They're given iconic weapons, iconic ships, and iconic characters all defer to them, but they aren't equals to the originals, no matter what convoluted narrative is created, and in turn, audiences don't feel the need to buy merchandise featuring those characters.
Yeah, so what he's like kind of referencing is like the thing with like, what was it, episode 789 with Rey? Like, I guess they tried to make a hero's journey. I haven't gone like too in detail of it, but like Rey was just good right off the get-go. There was no like struggle or whatever with her that we saw on screen. You know, maybe if she had like a messed up childhood or whatever that was kind of implied, it doesn't really hit the same if it's kind of just implied as it's like shown, you know?
This was an incredibly long-winded way of saying that merchandise based on these new, unliked characters will never sell, and that's why they're still at discount stores around the world waiting to be purchased. A joy they will never know. But Lucasfilm, which does not respond to requests for comment, knows it's running out of excuses now that the movie based on Nintendo's video game property can still make $1 billion post-pandemic as long as you have the right concept.
What was that game that just dropped? Jedi Survivor or whatever? You know, there are a lot of bugs on like day one or whatever, but I think in general, it was like well received.
For this very reason, Iger notably started off his fiscal Q2 earnings call this month by congratulating Universal for the success of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. It gives us reason to be optimistic about the movie business. Of course,
I still have not seen this new like Mario movie yet. I have yet to see it. I want to though.
Lucasfilm wouldn't respond to comment because they know that all of their decisions that were either motivated politically or ideologically have not been successful in the slightest bit. The Mario movie proves that the box office is not dead after the pandemic, but the narrative around its demise is. Mario was successful because it felt fresh, even though Mario has been around for over 40 years and had a movie 30 years ago. Besides the callbacks and nostalgia, Mario is also a likable character who fit the traditional hero's journey. Like Luke Skywalker, Mario faced adversity to achieve his goal of saving his brother, the Mushroom Kingdom, and being a somebody. Even though his family refused to believe in him and his goals, Mario never stopped believing in himself. And that resonated with the audience. Just like Luke Skywalker, we saw our hero fail before he ultimately won, which was absent in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, which created a lack of interest in the films after The Force Awakens was released. Audiences did not like the new characters at all, which makes forcing the continuation of Rey's story all the more confusing as it was not successful in the first place.
Oh boy, here
There's
we
no
go.
excuse. Lucasfilm created characters that had no life. They were just there to fill space on screen. There is pressure on the dial of destiny to perform for Disney. At the Cannes Film Festival, Bob Iger looked relieved when he saw a rave review for the 5th Indiana Jones movie. You could see the absolute relief on his face, one film critic said. That's probably because the first impressions have otherwise been dreadful. With a franchise low of 50% on Rotten Tomatoes as of this writing, Vanity Fair proclaimed that it's not worthy of the whip, while the BBC felt the globe-trotting adventurer had been relegated to a background figure in his own film, included mainly for the purpose of being upstaged by the younger co-star Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I'm not sure how many fans want to see Indiana Jones as a broken, helpless old man who cowers in the corner while his patronizing goddaughter takes the lead. But that's what we're given, and it's as bleak as it sounds.
Oh geez, is that what it really is?
Not been addressed as critics' response to the film's reveal that Indiana Jones will suffer the same brand-damaging fate. Audiences line up to see our favorite heroes go on one last adventure. It takes us back into the time in our lives when we were first introduced to these characters. The modern trope, which...
Yeah, but if you're gonna try to apply the hero's journey, like Indiana Jones, but like the actor that like mainly plays him is like in his really later years or whatever, it's like, what is that gonna look like? It's probably not gonna look good or whatever. So like, what do you expect? I don't know. I mean, like Jackie Chan hasn't came out with any movies really, like with him doing like a lot of actiony things or whatever. And I only mention that because like young Jackie like had a bunch of movies with like the hero's journey in the battle of like good and evil as like a concept in there a lot of the times, but like that was fine because the actor was like fresh and young and he could like he could do all that stuff. So that the hero's journey thing kind of fit. I don't know, it kind of fits with like 20 and like 30-year-olds, maybe 40 or whatever, but it doesn't really fit with like people like, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, because they can't do a lot of like actiony stuff, which, you know, things that look good on a movie, you know. I don't know. Let's keep watching.
Which is about 2 decades past its expiration date, of deconstructing heroes is damaging. Deconstruction is the pursuit of meaning of a text to the point of exposing supposed contradictions and internal oppositions upon which it's founded, supposedly showing that those foundations are incredibly complex, unstable, or impossible. Deconstruction is credited to Jacques Derrida and his 1976 book of Grammatology. When first submitted, the work was not accepted as scholarly. Years later, it was published and caught the attention of people with an inflated sense of self-importance.
Ooh.
Also known as pretentious people. Hollywood creatives are obsessed with showing their intelligence on screen, over the desire to tell an impactful story. The modern obsession with deconstruction
The self-insert. Oh man, the self-insert.
has turned our once heroic characters into shells of their former selves, which in turn have destroyed their connections with the audience. This is why people didn't return to see Star Wars, and that's why people aren't hotly anticipating the return of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's been 11 years since Disney bought Lucasfilm.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to see this movie in theaters, to be honest. I will probably wait until it comes out on some streaming service, probably Disney Plus, and then I'll maybe watch it there.
And every film suffers the same exact problem. With Disney needing to shell out $9 billion to buy Comcast out of Hulu as early as next year, the last thing Bob Iger needs is bad word of mouth building over the next 4 weeks to asphyxiate any hope of a blockbuster success. Looks like Disney's done that themselves. Right now, though, grim news is all that Lucasfilm has to offer the Disney CEO. An attempt to expand the lore of its 1988 film Willow flopped hard when the series debuted on Disney Plus in November.
Oof.
Not only was it canceled after
that.
the first 3 seasons, but the show was banished entirely from the platform as part of a thorough spring cleaning. Critics argued Willow, in retrospect, would have been more valuable to Disney as a tax write-off than actual content for subscribers.
What?
At the heart of this mess is Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. There she is, folks. A member of Fortune's 2015 class of the most powerful women, the youthful 69-year-old is an accomplished industry veteran in her own right, producing dozens of classic films. Yet being George Lucas's hand-picked successor has not shielded her from hefty criticism. A number of fans begrudge her, along with The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson, for deconstructing Luke Skywalker in the third trilogy. Actor Mark Hamill distanced himself from creative choices Johnson and Kennedy took with his...
Yeah, that was fucking stupid, man. Why'd you have to go make Luke a bitch? A blue milk, titty-sucking bitch.
iconic character in a rare industry rebuke. Antagonized by the perceived shabby treatment of their childhood heroes, fewer and fewer fans showed up from one movie to the next. The third and final installment, The Rise of Skywalker, only took in half of the $2 billion that premiere film The Force Awakens made for Disney. It's perhaps no wonder the company's $5,000 per package Star Wars-themed hotel at the Galactic Star Cruiser is shutting down.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that Star Cruiser thing or whatever. I saw like the initial commercial to that and I was like laughing my ass off, dude. Like, I'm not surprised that thing is shutting down, you know, because in it, with like the beds for adults was like, it's like you have like a wall and it's like you dig a hole out of the wall and it's like, that's the bed, you know? It's like adult bunk beds inside a wall. It was like the weirdest thing. Maybe it wasn't like that for like certain people. Maybe that was, you know, just on there. But like from that alone, I'm just like, no.
The tactical mistake of placing it in the timeline of the Disney sequel trilogy doomed it to a lifespan of just 18 months after opening. Those wealthy enough to fork over thousands of dollars to just roleplay their favorite heroes.
Bro, it was thousands of dollars for like a couple nights. Holy crap, dude. God dang.
Tended to be middle-aged fans of the original films who wanted to do battle against the sinister Darth Vader they remembered as kids, not the bland and forgettable Kylo Ren. Following the disappointment of 2019's The Rise of Skywalker, no further theatrical films got off the ground despite past proclamations. Numerous Hollywood creatives like Damon Lindelof, Patty Jenkins, and Taika Waititi were all reportedly attached to new Star Wars projects to no avail. As a result, the Star Wars universe has only lived on Disney's streaming platform with mixed critical success. Because of the drop-off in interest, Iger admits that he and his studio boss Alan Bergman are now in a difficult position. The Disney CEO has not spared high-ranking figures like Marvel's Ike Perlmutter or Victoria Alonso from the axe, and he's demanded the results from his team in exchange for greater creative control. There needs to be a direct connection between what's being spent and what's being earned from a revenue perspective. It's all about accountability, Iger said in March. Older Star Wars fans want to see Kennedy go in favor of someone like Jon Favreau, the creator of The Mandalorian. Allegedly, negotiations over whether to renew her contract due to expire this year are slated this.
For the most part, Jon does a pretty good job of staying true to like what the fans want for the most part.
This August. My bet is she stays with just a different mission, wages Schiffer. The problem isn't Kathleen Kennedy. Until things change at Lucasfilm, the outcome for these massively expensive projects will be the same. Disaster. It's refreshing to see the press finally acknowledge these problems that the fans have been discussing for years. Since the release of The Force Awakens, these problems have been front and center, though nostalgia and marketing helped blind audiences. However, since 2017's The Last Jedi, the fans and the alternative press
that one movie where no lightsabers connected
have been discussing the problems facing Lucasfilm, but they were met with the mainstream press painting this very small vocal minority with a very broad and negative brush. At this point, it's too late to fix these problems. As the article stated, the Star Wars brand is damaged beyond repair. If Indiana Jones does...
No, I don't think it's damaged beyond repair. It is pretty damaged, but it's not beyond repair because Star Wars will always have the potential to come back just because of the universe it's set in is so vast. And even though it's in a galaxy a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, it's space. It's a space western, space cyberpunk, space whatever you want it to be. All right, it has all of that leeway to do those things. The main issue is them not afraid to do like anything like adult with it, like or maybe not even adult, like to tackle like any adult themes. Like hell, just make a good freaking story. I don't need a 6-year-old running through the woods outrunning adults. All right.
Does flop, then what? Disney is 18 months away from getting a new CEO. Could Iger's successor, unwilling to mop up his Lucasfilm mess, consider a disposal? Unlikely. Ingenious storytellers can dream up more Star Wars content, as long as they own the IP. I cannot personally see Disney offloading Lucasfilm in the immediate future, the industry expert told Fortune. Perhaps sensing a need to deliver after a long creative drought, Kennedy announced in April that not 1 but 3 new Star Wars films were in the works. Yet even those show the Lucasfilm boss is unwilling to commit to any one overarching narrative.
They're gonna try again with another trilogy. Oh, what are they gonna do? They've already massacred my boy. What else could they do?
Favor of spreading her...
I know. They could massacre their own boy.
Bets. The trio are conceived as separate standalone stories, each set in a different period. Should any one of these 3 survive development and go into actual production, the damage can still be fixed with the right script and creative vision.
True.
This is not forever. If another film turned out to be good, the fans will be there, said Schiffer. In fact, we'd be there first. The press needs to end on an optimistic note, but Lucasfilm offers nothing of value to Disney. Star Wars is the main reason Disney purchased Lucasfilm for $4 billion. After nearly a decade of mismanagement, Star Wars isn't a draw. It lost more than half of its audience during the sequel trilogy era, which is unheard of. For context, each Avengers film was almost bigger than the one that came before it, with Age of Ultron making $100,000 less than the original film. Yet the sequel, Infinity War, earned almost double that film. And Endgame was the most successful film of them all. 4 million people left Disney Plus in 3 months. The Mandalorian was allegedly a draw to the platform, but the numbers tell a different story. Willow, Star Wars, and the rest of Lucasfilm's offering on the platform are not contributing to the success of Disney Plus. They are more valuable as tax write-offs than pieces of entertainment. This is not an indicator of success. It points to a dying limb of Disney who may be better off after it's removed. This would not be the first time Disney has sold a property after it mismanaged it. Disney once owned the Power Rangers, and they handled it so poorly that the original owner, Saban, purchased it back for a fraction of the cost and ultimately sold it off again for a massive profit.
Holy crap. Is that what happened to the Power Rangers? Fucking Disney bought it, ruined it, and then Saban bought it back and they sold it again? I mean, bro, it's Power Rangers. It's like, I mean, I used to watch Power Rangers when I was a little kid. I remember seeing like season 1, you know, with like the OG Rangers. And then I saw like a couple of the movies that came out, like the first and the second movie, and then they went into like car mode or whatever, the Turbo Rangers or something. But then after that, I was like, I'm out of here.
Is this the end for Star Wars and other Lucasfilm properties? Possibly. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is not as anticipated as they would hope. Bob Iger is nervous, and the fourth film...
Yeah, I think it is the end, man. Stop milking the fuck out of these IPs, man. Come up with something new. Apparently, that's too difficult.
Poisoned the Well. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the most hated chapter in the franchise. Star Wars could rebound, but the lineup does not indicate that at all.
Right.
Bringing back Rey and forcing the Mandalorian to cover the formation of the New Order is turning off an audience that's already half out the door.
Yeah.
Time will tell, but the next few years are likely to be the last few years. Lucasfilm is done, and Disney will never, ever be the same again.
True.
So folks, thank you for watching. Tell me what you think about this in the comments below. It's too dense to ask you 3 questions, so just tell me what you think about how it feels to have been saying this for years and finally having the press acknowledge it. That's the only...
Saying it for years and having the press acknowledge it, I mean, honestly, dude, it's like, what do you mean by like the real press? Like the conventional mainstream press? Those guys don't fucking matter, because they're just gonna get paid to say like whatever else. The fact that they said something finally, it just means they didn't get paid like a day or like a month or whatever, and they're just like, yeah, this shit pretty much does suck, guys. It's the truth. I mean, maybe the press stating that could be a kick in the butt for Disney to like get off their ass and do something. That could be the case to make something good. But like, as far as like a valued opinion, I'm not gonna value the opinion of like whatever the press was. I'd have to go back and see like who exactly said the shit or whatever. I mean, we're in a time where like like a lot of people can like just say whatever they want, you know, like dedicated fans with really good like knowledge bases and have people that have like really good understanding of the story can give their 2 cents on, you know, whether like a story or a plot is good or bad. And I think it's those people, you know, who like we should be like listening to or whatever, or like like I don't know. Let's see what else.
Only thing I'll ask you. But folks, I'll be back next time with more. We have toy videos. We'll be back on Tuesday with the High Council and Good Morning Pop Culture. The other microphone broke and I couldn't get a new one until this morning. But be on the lookout for that very soon. So thank you for watching. Be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.
Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters.
All right, I dig it. This is the first time I've seen a video from World Class Bullshitters, and yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Hopefully, you know, maybe I'll go and look and watch some more stuff, but overall, I liked it, and I agree, man. Like the I don't know, like the general news acknowledging that Lucasfilm Disney is ass is perfectly fine. Maybe they'll get their shit together one day. Maybe they won't. Maybe it's just downhill. It's down stonks, down arrows, red, negatives. But hopefully they can change it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say. I like the video. I want to see more. So yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. Take it easy, guys. Later.